everybody. Welcome back to my talk show. Let's talk about with Richa. And today we have a beautiful guest, Hazel Xavier Venkatraman. And welcome, Hazel. It is such a nice honor, and it's an honor to have you on my show. Would you please tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Thanks. First of all, thanks, Richa, for having me. That's really great. It's nice talking to you again. And I think you do some amazing work for business and also by, putting all the women with the minority background out there. That's important. Well, I moved to Norway in 2006. And because my husband had a job here, and like anybody else, I had to learn the language.
Hmm.
That's important. That's something I really, really focus on to everybody I know, that learn the language. It's
Hmm.
important. It's nothing to do. It's more you get integrate faster. It's easier to you have the skills. You just need the language to back it up.
Correct.
And of course, anybody else, I had to go through some of my journeys, like working in McDonald's and doing different things because of the language. I was not qualified to work in the job I wanted to work. But it
Mm-hmm.
didn't take that long time. I think in 9 months, I kind of got the job I wanted to do because I started speaking the language.
Hmm.
And I worked for a technology company in Oslo, which did banking. And from there, my husband was already in technology, and we moved from Asker to Sandefjord, and that's where my journey started. I think, as you say, right, some things are meant to be. So
Yes.
when I came to Sandefjord, I didn't know what I was going to do. I started, like, my husband said, "Why don't you help me with business?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I started going for the Narings for any meetings, like
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
chamber meetings here. And of course, Sandefjord, being Sandefjord, a very small place, and I'm a color woman of color who went into these meetings with all these white men and some women there. So it was not. They were not rude to me. They were nice to me, but there was, like I always say, in networking or any group events, I don't think people realize, but there is a circle is that starts to talk, but then they forget the person, the new person who's there, and they close the circle without you.
Yeah.
That's my
Mm-hmm.
reflection of any networking meeting. So I'm very reflective about this with other people, that when I'm in places, I always open the circle and try to get the person in the circle,
Yeah.
because that's something I don't think they notice it or they realize it, because they don't need to do that.
Mm.
We need it because we come from a different country. We need the network, we need the people. So I don't think it's meant in the wrong way. I don't think they think about it. So when I started going for this meeting, I didn't get any connection or any contact. So then I said, okay, let me look for a smaller network. So I started looking for a women business network, and there was nothing in Sandefjord or Vestfold. The only one that was there was in Asken. So
Mm.
I actually called them. I said, "Do you plan to open up in this side of the town?" And he said, "No." I said, "Can I open one?" It just came out of my mouth. And she's like, "Yeah, you can, but don't use the same name." I'm like, "Okay." So then I contacted the Dagledar at that time, called Marit Gokstad, that, "Listen, I want to open a business network." So she was like, "What do you want to do? Is like for immigrant women?" I said, "No, it's a business network. It's not for immigrant women. It's for everybody."
Everybody.
And then she took some time to warm up to the idea, and then eventually she came on board, and we did our first meeting in Sandefjord, in Skagerrak International. And we had around 50 people who came for the meeting. NRCO came because they thought it was, immigrant women
Something
starting a
different.
network. What's happening? So
Yeah.
they were also asking me, "Is it for immigrant women?" I said, "No, it's for." So that was like a launch of my launch in Sandefjord, where people started to know me. And then the business followed along. Then we did, technology business. We launched some city apps, me and my husband. Then 3DL, the company that I work for now, that is an edtech company which delivers an educational content to schools in Norway. And we
Mhm.
are now moving out international. So we are working with Africa on some exciting collaboration. We are already launched in Sweden. We have around, in Norway, 100,000 students have access to 3DL, including Oslo Kommune and
Wow.
some other communes. So we have the reach of the app. Now we are working on marketing and making sure that everybody sees what the app offers. So it's an app for health, naturfag. It's for primary, secondary, and it's for videregående hälsooppvekst, videregående 11th and 12th grade in Norway. It's connected to the UD kompetansemålet. So it's pretty much, a lot of people use it now. The students and teachers both can use it in the school. So that's what the business is, where I get my bread and butter from. But then, in addition to that, we've been lucky. We have a Norwegian woman investor in our company. So we are three owners.
Oh.
It's her, it's me, and my husband.
Hmm.
So we're three owners, and we got lucky with her. Like, she's really been supportive because she invested in the company, I think, with a mission of doing something good. So
Hmm.
her mission is actually to contribute. So all three are on the same wavelength. Of course, we want to make the profits and do all that kind of stuff. But also the I think it's important when you start a company. It's, yes, it is about the money, but I think the passion and what you want to do will work drive more than making the money, because if you have the right attitude, the money will follow eventually. With that, then I felt as a business person, I think I was just telling these kids also, I think it's not enough in today's world that you just do your business and you keep yourself to that.
Mm,
You have to expand your network, and that's when the extraordinary happens, even though it's tiring and maybe it's time demanding. But yes, I stood for elections, and I won the local elections, and I'm in the community. I sit as a vara for the community, but I'm in the utvalg for plan milio. That's for the city planning department in Sandefjord commune for Hoire. And I like that job. I'm learning a lot. I'm pretty new. It's not that I know all the rules and regulations of building, but I'm learning a lot from there. I also sit in the Stire for Hoire, which I started before I got into the Utval, because I think it's important to learn and see how the organization works when you're so new. So I did 2 years. My 2 years will get completed now. So then I will say thank you and move on to my next assignment. I'm also on the board of the women's football team in Sandefjord.
mm,
So, and there it's more of a passion project, because I think I worked with these women through Women Business Network, and I felt like they work so hard and they're still not getting paid as the men, or they're not getting support from the business community in Sandefjord. So now they're starting to get that support with all the marketing, and people are coming along. So I think it's more of the awareness that we need to put. But anyway, I was a bit disappointed in a country like Norway, where we talk about equality. We're still a long way to go. So that was a bit eye opener for me, because I thought this was going to be an easy peasy game, getting onto the women's team and getting money for the women, since Norway is like so much about equality, but it's not. But I think we have a way to go, and I think we need to. I feel like I need to be there for these girls, because they really work hard, and they are young girls who, some of them have jobs, and they train double the time. I have two boys, 12 and 15. And I'm married, of course, and I have a dog. My husband's from India. So, yeah, I think that's about me. I don't know the Women Business Network. I'm still running it. I started in 2015, and I have, I keep doing events. And every time I get surprised that 70, 80 people turn around. And that also shows that there is a need for this kind of network.
yeah.
It's not separating man or woman. I think you sometimes need your own arena to do things differently. I do both. I do the events together, but I think it's important. It's very common in India, but in Norway they do ask, do we need a separate platform for women? And I'm like, yes, we do need a separate platform. I grew up differently in India. I never felt like I had to fight for a job, or I had, because if you have the education and you would get the job you need to get, whether it's being a leader. You're more accepted in India as a women leader, I feel. In Norway, I think it's a change. It shouldn't be like that, but I think it's changing now. There are very few women leaders, and of course, I being a leader from a different background, that's also something different. But I think people need to be more open. You learn a lot from each other.
Mm,
So I have learned a lot from Norway.
mm,
With my skills from India, which were already there. I think I learned a lot from Norway, and together it makes it more powerful. That's what I tell my children. I said, you don't be ashamed of who you are, because you don't know what you're lucky to have two cultures,
mm,
because it just makes you stronger,
mm.
because you have two perspectives. You don't have one perspective. So I think I'm grateful for both India and Norway, that I have both the backgrounds. So yeah, that's
And
that's about.
it sounds like we in Norway have to be grateful for having you because you made so many big changes. And I totally agree with you when you say money is important. It's the oxygen for our business. If you choose to go into business, you have to think about the profit, the bottom line, everything like that. But as long as you have a passion and it's clear that your passion is to create a change in no matter which industry or whatever you're doing, it seems like you are passionate about helping people to create a change, which is amazing. I mean, it's so inspiring, Hazel, for you. As you say, you come from India, come from a different background, but it seems to be a part of you who have that strength that, okay, nobody's doing this. I have to blaze the trail. I have to go forward. I have to make this, a little bit more adjustable the community to understand what it is to integrate. But we have talked about it before also. You have done your part to be integrated in the community as well. You learned the language and you made sure that you are there where things are happening, and you're taking the steps to be integrated instead of sitting and waiting for it to come to you. You went out and just got it. So that's very, very inspiring. And I hope a lot of our guests who or watchers who are new to Norway get inspired by you, because I know they are suffering from the same challenges that you must have met when you came first to Norway. And so you are a very, very inspiring person. And since you did it, they can do it. Anybody can do it. It's
Right
very
back at you. I think there are a lot of we need more people like you, and who can show the way, and different backgrounds. I'm not saying they have to be Norwegians also. There are fantastic Norwegian women like Anita Kronthroset. She's amazing. Like she does, and she's very inclusive. She's from Sandefjord. Anytime I call her, I ask her for help. She's always there. She doesn't have to do it. So there are a lot of women like her who we need as role models too, because she does something that not too many people. She was in Innovation Norway, and now she's in, like, in the board of DSS. So I think we need different role models, both men and women. It's nothing to do with
true.
only women
True.
or
I
only
mean,
men.
we can't
Yeah,
change society without the help of the men,
yeah.
and we do not get equality if
Mm,
we don't have both of them.
yeah,
Gender equality will not happen if
yeah,
you exclude one gender. We need both
yeah.
of the genders to
Both.
be a part of it.
Big part.
And yeah, so thank you so much for making this so interesting. I was wondering, you told us about your journey, but do you have like one point where you pivoted or thought, no, this is something that have changed my mindset, or I have to make a change, like where you took the control in your hands?
I think I am a kind of person who always likes to, like, I take things in my hand. So that's the difference. Like, I don't wait for other people to fix things. If
Mm,
I want something, I just do it. That's always been me. So I think that's the only difference between, like, I'm not waiting for someone. If I feel like doing it, I will do it. Then I'm not going to wait for anybody to tell me or do it. Like, as I tell many people, if I want to do it, I will do it. Like, that's so I think there have been many instances. I think where you feel, oh, maybe I should, like, especially with the women business thing. That was one of the things, right? I got so irritated that why is there no women business network? Like, no, why is there not a network for women? Like, okay, let me start it. And then that's how it started. And it was the best thing, because I met so many beautiful women through that, and they're friends today. And my investor came from that group. So
mm,
I'm thinking sometimes you have to go out of that comfort zone. I
mm,
think that's the key. And today also, still, I keep pushing myself. Like in politics, sometimes I push myself. No, Hazel, you have to go up there and speak. You have to say a word. You have to go up and express what you feel about this case or that case, even though it might not be okay. I'm a bit careful, but then if I feel for it, I think sometimes I just you have to do it yourself. I
mm,
think that's the key here. You need to fix it yourself, and also be prepared. What at the most, what will happen? Somebody will say no, or it won't happen, but at least you
mm,
have done it, and you
mm,
learn a lot from both the failure
mm.
and success.
Yeah.
You learn a lot. Like the amount of lessons I have learned in being an entrepreneur in this past 5 6 years, I don't think you can get it in any school,
No,
whether it's
that's true. That's true. It's the best way is to just jump into it. And
yeah,
for some people, it seems, no, this is not me. Whereas for
yeah,
others, like embrace that change and that steep learning curve, which often entrepreneurship is. So
yeah.
yeah, thank you for sharing that. So with all of the stuff that you do, you have this beautiful, successful businesswoman network, and then you have your business, and you have the politics, and then you have this women in football that you are helping. All of this seems to be a lot of things. But how do you define success? Do you find that definition of success in any of this, or is there another way for you to define success?
I think it's a very tricky question, because success might mean different to different people.
Yes.
In many people who see me from the outside might think that I'm successful because of all what I've achieved in different phases. But yes, I am successful in small bits. Like, yes, I did manage to come to a city which is like very, they only take their own. I'm not born here. I'm not a Sandefjording. but then I managed to kind of break the code and come in and make my place. So that can be a small part of success. And there is, I take everything a bit, like even with my kids or my family or the business. So I think every step I measure success not as a whole, but as more of a journey on what's happening.
Mm.
And success is both. I think it's what you do and also the financial success. For me, I would not say that's not important. So there are ways to measure. So there are two ways, right? You can measure the financial success, but what are the other things you can't measure, like the things I do or I feel about myself?
Mm.
Do I feel successful? I think not yet, because I have a long way to go. I'm still working, and I've just got started actually. So I think, yeah, I'm successful in small measures. Of course, in day to day life, I feel I'm successful by and grateful that I get this opportunity to be in politics. I get to do the business. I get to do all these things. And I'm also thinking we need to change. This is something I've noticed, that people ask me, how do you do these many things? But then I'm like, do you ask a man? Because I know a lot of men who are doing a lot of things
Mm.
besides, and I think we are much more better multitaskers. I can manage to make dinner and also be for a meeting in the evening.
Correct.
So I'm thinking that's something, even the men have to change, the women have to change. Stop asking each other, how do you do so many things? Yeah, maybe you need to tip. That's a different question. Can you help me? Give me a tip. How do you manage your day? That's something else. But I think I've been asked this
And
many times.
it's a good point for my next question. How
Yeah.
do you manage your time? How do you, manage the time by having so many balls in the air, so many projects going on? How do you manage their time?
No, I do priorities. Like, I'm not, I have to give up some things, and that's by choice. So you can't do everything. You can't have a perfect house. So I'm not, like, I tell my husband that you married the wrong woman, because I have never grown up or thought to be a housekeeper,
Mm,
because I had help always in the house. So I was not taught to keep the house pretty, cook food, do all the housekeeping jobs. My husband is better than me,
mm,
because he grew up with a mom who was working, and there were three boys. So they had to, I get the job done, but I'm not too busy about keeping the house beautiful, or you can't get everything. So somewhere you have, and I'm okay with it.
But
I'm
I
okay with it.
think I don't think he married the wrong woman. I think he actually, you guys must be perfect for each other,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
We
you must be
compliment each
perfect
other.
for each other, because if he is good in
Yeah.
cooking and keeping the house clean and you are not, you have a bigger mission. So
Yeah,
I
no,
think
he's
that
also, no, it's not like that. I think he's a better, when he does stuff, he does more organized stuff. Like, normally women are into like keeping the clothes on. I'm more like I will just do it like for doing it. It's not like I'm going to be very organized in keeping stuff. He's more, and he also supports me, right? We are a team. So when the business, actually all about business, it comes from him. Like, I had never dreamed to start a business, or I just wanted to work and do certain stuff. I wanted to grow the career ladder, but not business. So it's him who started, because both the companies are founded by my husband, but then he took up other jobs, and then I'm taking further, and we always have this advice or communication going on, and he supports, or he tells me. And politics was something he encouraged me. He felt like, he was in politics, but he said, I think you will do better in politics. So that way we are like, it's a team. I think that's very important, to have that kind of
important.
partner.
It is
And
very
also,
important.
yeah, and
Okay, so
time
I have
management.
a personal question, because
Yeah.
I also went into business with my husband many years ago before, but it didn't work because I felt it was we were only talking about business and he was dumping all the administration work, which I was not willing to do. I want to be, the creative and the spokesperson and so on as well. So we were kind of fighting for the same things to do. So that time it didn't work. But just recently we opened a new business together, and it's much more clear for me. So how do you and your husband find that balance between when are you business owners or partners and when are you life partners?
Yeah. When we started, we were working together a lot. That time it was a different ball game, because then it was more work and things like that. But now he's only on the board. So I'm also the kind of person that I treat him like a board member. So there are
Mm,
many things I don't discuss with him. I don't tell him. He gets to know that when he comes to the board meeting. And he's okay with that. And I'm okay. Because then I have to see, I have to look at the company's well being at the end of the day.
mm,
My investor, my company, he's also one of the owners. So I'm treating it as a company. It's my job. So I have to look what's good for the company.
Mm.
And then if I need advice, I actually have another advisor who sits with me in my board. I consult him very often on all the things that I do. I have another business development person who I consult with. So that way, and I think it's also important for one person to know when to back down a little bit and give the space.
Mm.
So I think it is either him or me. Somebody has to, if somebody sees it first, then maybe that person backs down a bit and give the space and let that person grow in that area, and that person grow in this. And I think now is the right time maybe for you guys. You're matured a bit more. So I think he
Definitely,
and you both will
definitely.
understand. It's a
Yeah.
time, it's a time thing
But
actually.
we were much more clear this time.
Yeah.
This time around, we were much more idealistic.
Yeah.
This time, we are much more practical, and
Yeah.
we were very much more clear that, okay, this is what you are going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to have this responsibility, but I also want to do it my way. So
Yeah.
it became a much more of a very clear, guidelines before we started.
Yep.
We both agreed, okay, this is the way it will go. So yeah, no, it's always interesting. I do get this question many times. How do you find that balance between, being business partners and life partners? So I just yeah, we solve it in different ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I have very strict rules. Only on Wednesday and Sundays are we going to talk about business. All the other days,
Oh, okay.
we're
That's good.
not going to talk about that business. I have
That's good.
very strict rules. Only on these days.
That's
Otherwise, the romance dies out if you're only going to talk, shop all the
business.
time. Okay,
Yeah.
so do you have any specific routines or tools or you know just to take care of yourself and your health because
Yeah, I do, I
most
do, I
important.
do believe, I do believe in God. So I don't like, I'm not a religious person, but I think one has to meditate,
Mhm.
and especially the life I lead. I think one has to. If you would have told me about meditation 10 years back, I would have told you get lost because it's just because you're not in that space. You're not in that space. You're very young and you don't have the patience or the mindset. But I think one has to, whether it is whatever, whether you're closing your eyes and meditating to particular God or a mission or whatever. But I think one has to take that 5-10 minutes in life and breathe in and breathe out and do something else to kind of I think anywhere you go, whether you're going to play a game, I think you take some deep breaths, whether you're going to talk or going to present, I think breathing, it tells and does a lot for you, which I realized a little later in my life. And I do it very often. And I even tell my boys sometimes when they're playing sports, I know it's difficult when you're there and there, but if you could take a 1 second breathe,
Mm.
you would maybe do the right decision. Because I think we and that something is changed. I think that's what I would tell people, like, take a moment, breathe, and think about what you want to say or do, and do find something that works for you, because everybody is different.
Yes.
Yeah, like for me, the gym doesn't work, but Pilates is something that has been nice for me. I
Mm.
like Pilates. Then I have a dog, going out for a walk with him. That really, like, I like that, and I like spending time with my kids. I think that's the time that I they give me energy, because when we talk to them and listen to their day and what's happening in their life, I think that's a very uh, big part. And in the evening, me and my husband sitting and watching Netflix or TV. So that's also something important. Even though maybe we're not talking to each other, but we sit
Mm.
and we
Mm.
kind of do something together. We have a routine on doing
Mm.
something. So I
Mm.
think for me, the small things that makes the big difference. I don't need the big gestures. The small ones are enough for me.
Nice, nice. That's amazing. Yes, as you said, everybody needs to find their own way around it. But health is very, very important, especially for entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
I think if you are gonna run your own business, health is, if you don't have your health, you can't create wealth.
you
That's
can't
what,
do anything. Yeah, you can't do
and
anything.
so health is number one priority. I think that's very important. So there are many upcoming new entrepreneurs. I'm not saying just young people, but there are a new trend after COVID that a lot of people want to start. Some of them it's side hustle. For some of them it's serious. Do you have any advice for them? What should they focus on? Or
No, I think it's very important to, because I know that people, you want to do business, that's correct. But I think, are you mindful about the people who already are doing business? And if somebody is helping you, are you being respectful about their space and not misusing their advice? Because that's very important to me. I go with a lot of gut feelings. So if I have to like someone, I have to make sure that they are trustworthy. So I think that's important, because I know the hustle part is there and we have to sell, but not on somebody else's cost, I think. So that's very important.
mm,
That's one of the things I would say, because it doesn't go a long way. It catches up with you.
Yeah.
It catches up with you. It might look like that time, it might look like, what the hell, I'm a nice person and they used me. But that person kind of, it catches up with you or catches up. So I think it's important to keep clear guidelines of what you're doing and find the right people. That's
Mhm.
very important. I say that's something I regret, that initially I didn't have this advisory board. I think if you're starting an IS and you have a business, get a nice group of people who you trust as your advisory. I
Mm,
think that's going to be your tight circle. Your
mm,
board and your advisory board is your tight circle, and you need to have people you trust on that,
mm,
because those are your go-to people. Because you're not necessarily, when you do business, you want to speak shop to your friends all the time, because you might lose some friends
mm,
because they don't understand your problem if they don't do business, and then you don't want to lose friends because you want to talk shop all the time. So your that's where the advisory, a mentor, get a mentor. I would highly recommend to get a mentor when
mm.
you start off, because it's very important. You need people around you
Yeah.
to help you.
That's amazing. Yeah, because entrepreneurship could be a very lonely ride if you
Yeah,
don't have partners. So yeah,
correct.
amazing. Thank you so much, Hazel, for your amazing advice and your time. And thank you for sharing your story. You are highly inspiring, and I'm so happy and feel honored that you came on my show. And I hope this is so inspiring for all of my audience.
Thank you, Richa, for having me. It's always nice talking to you.
You too, you too.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, connect with Hazel. She's on LinkedIn, and yeah, connect and get more inspired by listening to her story and everything that she does. And maybe we can help her help others, you know. So until next time, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and be kind to others. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.